Creating a dedicated space at home where you can work without distractions is more important than most people think. There are various studies out there that go into how workspace layout has an impact on productivity, satisfaction, and perceived health. Some people might think it's just for aesthetic purposes, but in reality, having a dedicated workspace where you feel comfortable and you enjoy spending your time can help you boost your productivity and also help you separate life from work in a more effective way. In this video, I wanted to share how I would set up a workspace step by step, what I would do, what I think about when it comes to setting up a workspace, and just showing you how to set up a nice, perfect workspace for you. The design of your workspace will of course also largely depend on the type of work that you do, but I believe there are some general rules that every workspace can benefit from. The space itself. So if you have a spare room at home, this is definitely one of the best options as it will give you privacy and sound protection from the rest of the house. I've actually turned my dining room in my house into an office. I have my work setup there, my gaming setup, and I have another desk for sort of other stuff. But yeah, it's just really nice having this separate room which is separate from the rest of the house that I can have the way I like, and I know it's my own space. I'm in complete control of it. I understand though that this is not always an option for some people, so if you don't have a spare room that you can make your own private space, then I always recommend choosing the most quietest place in your house. I would usually try and avoid setting up your office in your bedroom. Now of course there's nothing wrong with that, but I just feel like you don't get the proper sort of work-life balance, you could say. I know when I first started working and stuff, I used to work from my parents' bedroom. You know, I had my bed right next to my desk. Now, of course, it was just a situation that I had to make the most of. But if you can separate it, I would separate it. But at the same time, if your bedroom is your quiet space, it's your private space, and you feel like you can have a good separation, then yeah, it's the place that you should definitely set up your office. Lighting. Natural light should definitely be prioritized when choosing the space for your workspace. I have a huge window in my office that lets in a lot of natural light, and I also have a side window that lets in light too in my home office. And yeah, it lets in so much light that I actually have to put blinds up to control the amount of light that comes in. But natural light for me is just so worth it. If you can have natural light going into your space, it just makes a world of difference. A study from Cornell University showed that workers exposed to natural light experienced an 84% drop in issues such as headaches, eye strain, and blurred vision. And because those symptoms can lead to increased fatigue, workers exposed to less natural light were more susceptible to other health issues. That's how important natural light is in your workspace. Artificial lighting also plays an important role, especially when it starts to get dark outside, and it can give your setup a really nice feel to it. Here you'll find many different options, from your traditional desk lamp or to sort of more recent, newer monitor light bars. In general, if I had to recommend one, it would most likely be a monitor light bar, mainly because it takes up a lot less space compared to a floor lamp or a desk lamp. But hey, I also still really like desk lamps and floor lamps. I just feel like they give a more sort of homely sort of feeling to it, more sort of cozy feeling to it. So yeah, it really depends on what works for you. If you are looking for a monitor light for your setup, I found two depending on your budget. First up is the Quantis monitor lamp. This is a budget option and works surprisingly well. It plugs in via USB, so no need for an external power brick, and the buttons on top are touch sensitive. You can change the brightness and the color temperature with the touch buttons, which is ideal to suit any setup. BenQ also has a well-reviewed monitor light bar, but this is more of a premium option. It comes with an external dial for manual adjustments, but it also has an ambient light sensor to adjust brightness automatically. I'll leave links to both monitor light bars in the description below. I'll also leave links to sort of desk lamps and floor lamps that I'd recommend as well. I also wanted to thank Masterworks for sponsoring this video. Don't you love how tech can make things easier? And that's where Masterworks comes in. High inflation is currently eating away at savings, and financial markets are down pretty much across the board. In fact, the S&P is already down over 17% for the year, and major stocks like Netflix are down 40, 50, even 60%. Even the high-flying tech stocks of the past 10 years have taken a dive. In this situation, experts mainly recommend two things to protect your wealth: diversify your portfolio and invest in things with low volatility. Sounds like a tough ask, right? But it doesn't need to be, because there's actually an asset class that checks both of those boxes. Up until now, it was mainly reserved for billionaires to safely store their wealth. It's even estimated that more than half of high net worth investors allocate at least 10% of their portfolio to it because it's an alternative asset. So it's great for diversifying outside of the traditional stocks and bonds, and it's also a natural inflation hedge. In fact, it has some of the lowest correlation to the stock market of any asset class at negative 0.12. Now, in the past, it would take millions of dollars to access this asset class, but now you can get its benefits at a price that works for you thanks to Masterworks. So make sure to check out Masterworks. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. you can use it to skip the waitlist. Noise. So no one wants to be in a noisy environment when you're trying to focus and do work, but unfortunately not everyone has the luxury of a quiet room in the house. If this is your case, I highly recommend getting some noise cancelling headphones. There are many studies out there that show how noise can have a big negative impact on focus and productivity. A study by the British Journal of Psychology found that background noise is a big productivity killer. They've concluded that workers can be up to 66% less productive when exposed to just one nearby conversation, which is crazy. I've reviewed a few noise cancelling headphones on the channel, like the AirPods Pro, which you can now find on Amazon for under $200. You also have things like the AirPods Max or the Microsoft Surface headphones too. Sony has just released their new XM5s, and the price for the Mark 4s and Mark 3s has also come down, so it might be a good time to buy one of those. The desk. Here, the most obvious choice you'll have to make is between a traditional desk or a standing desk. If you have the budget, I highly recommend going for a standing desk. There's a study from the International Journal of Workspace Health Management that showed how 65% of subjects who got a standing desk reported an increase in productivity, and 47% said that pain in their upper back, neck and shoulders had also improved. The prices for standing desks have come down a lot over the last few years. You can usually pick them up for quite cheap on IKEA, Amazon and some other places. I know FlexiSpot is another one. This desk here is from FlexiSpot. I also have a premium Ergonophis one at home. So yeah, there are so many different options when it comes to standing desk. And if you have the budget, like I said, I would highly recommend buying one. The chair. Investing in a good office chair is probably one of the best investments that you can do for your health if you work sitting down for long periods of time. I've said many times on this channel before, please do not buy one of those ugly gaming chairs. They're just not worth the money and they're not going to do your back any favors. Not long ago, I made a video comparing the best office chairs that I found and used personally. This is something that I don't think can be stressed enough. You can avoid so many future back problems if you purchase a proper office chair. The budget option I like to recommend is the IKEA Marcus. For the price, it's pretty incredible value and good enough for most people. But if you can, I would recommend investing in a more premium office chair from someone like Herman Miller. My personal favorite is the Aeron, and it's actually the one that I'm sitting in right now. The amount of adjustability you can get from these chairs is insane, and you can have it fit you perfectly. If you don't want to buy new, you can usually pick them up used or refurbished online for half the price. When it comes to how to properly sit in an office chair, you should adjust the height of it so that your knees are at a right angle with your feet flat on the floor. Your back should of course be resting on the back of the chair, and then the armrests should be around the same height as your desk so that you can rest your arms on them whilst using a keyboard or mouse. The monitor. So monitor size and resolution that you choose for your setup will entirely depend on the type of work that you do. There's no one size fits all approach to this, but knowing my audience, I feel like the sweet spot for most people is around 4K resolution and 27 inches in size. 5K monitors like the new Studio Display are definitely great and look amazing, but they're probably overkill for most people unless you do design work or something that requires you that higher resolution. I personally use 3 different displays, mainly because I have a desk here at the office, I also have a desk at home, and then I also have a monitor for my gaming setup. I have the Apple Studio Display and Pro Display XDR for design work, photo editing and video editing. These 2 monitors are the ones that I use the most. I also have the Eve Spectrum, which I primarily use for gaming, but this monitor also works really well for design work, photo and video editing, as I found the colors on it match pretty well with my MacBook display. One thing I would suggest though when choosing a monitor is making sure that it has height adjustability, as this will allow you to put it in a comfortable position for your eyes and neck. If it doesn't have height adjustability, I'd suggest going for a monitor with a VESA compatible mount so you can mount it to a VESA arm. There are of course a bunch of other monitors out there. The 3 that I've mentioned are definitely on the more premium side of things, but I'll of course leave links to other budget options as well. Greenery. Introducing plants into your workspace can seem secondary, but it's probably one of the best additions you can do for your setup. A study showed that people who work in spaces with greenery reported 15% higher levels of overall well-being. The respondents expressed feeling 6% more productive and 15% more creative at work. Another study showed that visual exposure to plants reduces stress and eye strains in just 5 minutes. I like to have plants around in my office, my workspace. You can actually see one just here, but I've also got one at home as well. And if I can't get real ones like the one you see here, I could try and get fake ones as well. And yeah, plants obviously aren't really that expensive. You can get them for quite cheap, easy to take care of. Well, it depends on the plant that you get, but I try to get plants that are easy to take care of. I'll leave links to these ones if you guys are interested. These are actually designed to be sort of indoor office plants. Peripherals. The peripherals that you use in your setup will be highly influenced by the type of work that you do, and it also comes down to personal preference. I currently like to use the Magic Mouse and the Logitech MX Master 3. When it comes to keyboards, the one I use the most is definitely the Apple Magic keyboard, but I also like to switch it up and use mechanical keyboards such as the ones from Keychron or Mode. The Mode 65 I have here is absolutely incredible and one of the best keyboards I've used, but it does come with a very high price tag. Finally, the most important part of any setup is making it your own, customizing it and personalizing it however you like. I personally like quite minimal and clean looking workspaces, but that doesn't mean you do too. I always like to see setups that are completely the opposite of mine, which I also think look great. These setups are clearly designed to be comfortable for the owner, which I think is the most important thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got some tips from it that you can use to maybe improve your current workspace setup or make a new workspace setup. I'll of course leave links to everything down in the description below. I'll also leave links to products that I haven't actually mentioned, but I would recommend. So for those who got to the end of the video, please leave a comment with the word workspace in it. I just want to see who got to the end of the video. It's nice to see who got to the end. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.